Welcome back to Heather Rants. We don't really rant, but when people don't like what you have to say, they think it makes you sound like you're the one who's unhinged when they say you're ranting. Anyhow, the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses has two brand new governing body members. Turns out the apostates were right. This has been a rumor for a long time. But I don't really have anything profound to say about it, to be quite honest. Like, what are they gonna do? Let the leadership just like die off and become senile? No, they're not. They got a whole business to run, man. They can't. But let's take a step back to my childhood, because even though I don't have anything profound to say, it's kind of funny. You see, we didn't know who the leadership even was when I was a kid. We were proud to not know who they were because we didn't follow men. We followed God. Which was great. The only thing we knew about them was that they were anointed. I remember asking my grandfather when I was like 6 or 7 years old, well, how do I know if I'm anointed? As if it mattered, because I'm a woman. I'd never be leadership. He's like, that's the thing. If you have to ask, then you're not. You'll just know. I mean, when I was a kid, though, the whole collection of the anointed was legitimately declining. Okay? Legitimately declining. Their little ploy where they predispose you from, like, childhood to believe that you're not anointed, even though they also say that you won't be anointed until you're baptized as an adult. You know, we were predisposed to believe that wasn't us. No wonder the number was declining. And now that, like, everybody has all this, like, instant gratification and stuff on the internet and everything, you know, of course, psychology would dictate that the number is increasing. But, you know, a lot of these guys came from, you know, military service or privilege, and there were accolades. There was, you know, reward and gratification. Like, not many of these guys came from poverty. And the whole structure for the Jehovah's Witnesses, for men at least, I'm sure there's a lot more anointed men if they looked at that demographic. The whole structure for men within the Jehovah's Witnesses is very acknowledgement driven. Like, what can a woman get? She's a pioneer. What can a man get? He's a ministerial servant. Well, once they become like a theocratic ministry school, they can become a ministerial servant. They become a baptized member. They become an elder. They become, you know, an officer of the, like, congregation, like the, I don't know, the secretary or accountant or something like that. They become, you know, the heads of judicial committees. They have power over the people. They do the shepherding visits and tell them when they're wrong. They have the power to disfellowship when somebody doesn't listen if they make up rules for why they're wrong. They are given power. I am sure there are far more anointed men than there are women, because there are accolades and privilege and things like that. You're going to see that a lot more. So I find that interesting. But I also think it's hysterical that, like, they said in more recent things to explain why the numbers went from declining to increasing, because they're also giving these privileges at a younger and younger age to the men. Their number is increasing, and they started blaming it on people being mentally diseased. just like as apostates. It's great. You know, they believe they're going to rule one day in heaven with Jesus. Oh my God, that's so weird. Like, did you not? Do you? Does the leadership not also believe this? Do the governing body members not also believe this? Are they not potentially also mentally unstable? Are we taking their word for it that they're anointed and they're mentally stable? I mean, like, we have a dude up there saying that babies are the enemy of God. They are inherently hateful. That women have smaller brains and are therefore unfit for leadership. That, you know, they think it's appropriate to say, withhold your driver's license from your teenager if they're not baptized, but also don't pressure them into being baptized. They have, like, they're up there literally not telling you the whole truth about, like, what these lawsuits are and what the reason is for not being a religion in Norway. They're saying that, you know, being removed as a religion in Norway is, they're comparing it to the Holocaust. Or do these sound like normal people to you? Do they sound like normal people? I would think that the younger guys coming in might have more sanity than the current leadership. I just think it's funny. We never knew who they were growing up. And now there's like a whole new influx of anointed people, and they have a whole different pool to choose from, and we know who they are. They do sound a little crazy, but they're saying that everyone else are the crazy ones. You know, they're throwing them right into the pot with the rest of us mentally diseased people. Like, but they're not mentally diseased. Even, whoa. I don't know these guys. But I think the whole situation is funny. I think it's funny. And then, like, when I was still on speaking terms with my dad, and I'm like, how do they get away with such brutality for how they treat people? He's like, well, not everybody's like that. I'm like, that's the policy from the top. Some people take it too far. I'm like, that's literally the policy from the top. They have whole videos. Well, the governing body takes it too far. Exactly. How do they get away with this? Well, there's new generations coming in, and every time there's a new generation of, like, governing body members, you know, things are going to change a little. Well, that sounds an awful lot like man-led religion. That sounds an awful lot like a man-made religion. So, I'm sure as long as Anthony Morris is in the picture, there's going to be continued brutality and abuse of the people. Because Anthony Morris and, what's the other one? The one who testified in Australia about the abuse victims and how they're treated and shunned and that kind of thing too. Like, as long as they're in the picture, they're going to continue to have a really, really brutal and abusive mentality about disfellowshipping. They're just, to them, it doesn't matter what you've been through. You do or you freaking die. They're forgiven for all things. We need to forgive them for all things and follow them no matter what. But you do or die. We're looking at the ungrateful slave who was forgiven for a great debt, but bullied a fellow slave for a minor debt. I don't know. I don't really have any real thoughts or opinions or feelings about it. I'm highly amused because we're at the end of the system of things. The other anointed people are getting thrown in as mentally diseased like the rest of us apostates. But they're assigning new anointed people as governing body members. You know, the numbers were declining. The anointed calling was closed at one point. The whole thing is just a hot mess. And I'm amused. Nothing profound. It's a business entity, and they're trying to make up something that makes sense, and they are fumbling hard. They're fumbling. And it's just funny. Anywho, I gotta roll, y'all. I'm almost to work. Have fun. Enjoy your day. I hope you got a good laugh out of the new governing body members, because it really isn't anything profound. It's a business entity. Just have a good laugh at it, because apparently we're all a bunch of crazy kooks. But it takes one to know one, doesn't it?